Hey again, everybody. How you doing? Just wanted to touch base on the distinction between an SD and an MO, which can be a really confusing topic, but it's really important to be able to get it straight. Many of you are doing a really nice job with it. Some others of you are sort of skirting around the edges a little bit. So just wanted to really take a moment to try to make it as clear as possible. I noticed in some of your discussion posts there was talk about things that were motivating or were motivators for someone, basically something that somebody wanted. And it's true that there are things that are motivators or that are motivating, but that doesn't make them motivating operations. If we really think about the distinction between the two, an SD, a discriminative stimulus, is something that signals the availability of reinforcement. So if an organism engages in a response in the presence of an SD, reinforcement will be delivered, okay? Whereas an MO, a motivating operation, is something that momentarily alters the reinforcing value of some stimulus. And as a result, changes the likelihood that a response that results in that stimulus will be engaged in. Okay, so the motivating operation is not the reinforcer itself. It's something else that has the effect of making that reinforcer more valuable, or in some cases we can think of it as less valuable as well. Okay, so if we think about an example of those kinds of things in play, let's say that you go to a Patriots game. Okay, what are you getting to drink? Are you getting a Diet Coke or are you getting a hot chocolate? Now I know the answer is you're all saying, well, no, I'm getting a beer, okay? But let's put that aside for 1 second, okay? And let's think about if our choices are we can get Diet Coke or we can get a hot chocolate, okay? So we've got two people that are out there standing in the aisles with their bins of drinks, okay? That are looking to sell them to you, right? So the response that you can engage in, you can say, I want one, right? And they'll come over to you, right? So the SD for the Diet Coke is the guy that's carrying around the big thing full of Diet Cokes, right? The SD for the hot chocolate is the person that's carrying around the thing full of hot chocolates, okay? Those vendors, they signal the availability of Diet Coke or the availability of hot chocolate, okay? And so they're the SDs. For if I engage in the response of I want one, right? It's going to lead to, in one case, it's going to lead to me getting a Diet Coke. In another case, it's going to lead to me getting a hot chocolate, okay? So now let's think about what determines which one of those things I'm going to get, right? Certainly, if there's only one of those vendors out there, if there's only the vendor for Diet Coke, I can't say I want one and end up with a hot chocolate. It's not going to happen, right? But now let's say that both vendors are out there, okay? Now let's say that you're going to a game in the beginning of September, and it's in the upper 80s. It's a warm day, okay? It's probably more likely that you're going to respond to the vendor for the Diet Coke and get a nice cool drink, right? Now let's say you go to a Patriots game at the end of December, and it's about 20 degrees outside, okay? It's far less likely that you're going to say, I want one and get a Diet Coke. You're going to say that to get the hot chocolate, okay? In both of those cases, nothing changes about the availability of the reinforcer, okay? In both cases, you could get a Diet Coke or you could get a hot chocolate. What's changed is the temperature, okay? And because of the outside temperature, when it's really hot, it increases the value of the Diet Coke. The heat does, right? The heat is the MO. It increases the value of the Diet Coke, decreases the value of the hot chocolate. Later on in December, the cold is an MO. It increases the value of the hot chocolate and decreases the value of the Diet Coke, okay? And that's how it has its effect. It changes your behavior because it's changed the reinforcing value of those two stimuli, the Diet Coke or the hot chocolate, okay? So that's a really important distinction to make there. Another thing that I want to make sure that's really clear, sometimes it can be easy when we're talking about motivating operations to get stuck in a world of just thinking about unconditioned motivating operations, okay? Things like food or drink, okay? Things that are just naturally reinforcing to us. They're these unconditioned reinforcers. And it's true that lots of times that is what MOs are playing on, are those unconditioned reinforcers, but it's not always the case. So there's the example that I believe comes around in Cooper, where Cooper's talking about an electrician who's got an assistant, right? And the assistant has the electrician's toolbox, okay? And the electrician sees a screw that's got it's got the X on it. It's a Phillips head screw, right? And so the electrician turns to his or her assistant and says, "Can I have a Phillips head screwdriver, please?" Okay, and gets the Phillips head screwdriver. Okay, in that case, the screw with the X on it, the Phillips head screw, is a motivating operation for the Phillips head screwdriver. It makes the Phillips head screwdriver more valuable, and as a result, results in behavior that in the past has led to it. The electrician could at any time have turned to his or her assistant and said, "Can I have the Phillips head screwdriver, please?" Right? But until you see a Phillips head screw, you don't need it. It's not valuable. But seeing the screw increases the value of getting the screwdriver, which is the reinforcer, right? And so it leads to behavior that in the past has led to that, okay? So it's not just about these unconditioned things like food or drink. It can be anything that could potentially be a reinforcer. You've got a motivating operation in effect if there's anything that's going on that alters the value of that reinforcer. Some of you played around with this a little bit when you were talking about negative reinforcement, and you were talking about the functional communication request for a break, for get me out of this situation. Very often, another condition motivating operation, the CMOR, is a stimulus that serves to make its own removal more reinforcing. So this is if you've got one staff person who's always presenting lots of demands to a student, right? Sometimes just the mere presence of that staff person can become aversive and can serve to make that student want to get that staff person out of here. So they start engaging in behavior that results in the removal of that person, okay? That's a condition motivating operation as well, okay? Because it's like, oh, just having you around makes me want to get you away from me. It makes that way more valuable. It's not that big of a deal if you're not around me in general, but once you're around me, because I know you're going to present demands, it makes me want to get you out of here, okay? So again, just the difference between an SD and an MO really has to do with an SD signals the availability of reinforcement, whereas an MO alters the reinforcing value of some other stimulus, okay? And again, with MOs, we're not just talking about basic needs like food and drink. While that certainly is very often a type of MO that we're going to be talking about, right? Altering the reinforcing value of food or drink through things like deprivation and satiation. But it also can be for these other conditioned reinforcers through our conditioned motivating operations. So I hope that lends a little bit of clarity to the concepts of SDs and MOs. It's a really tricky distinction, but one that's really important to get. Thanks a lot and keep up the good work, everyone.